Thank you.
We're set.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is the convening of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. We're holding this meeting publicly, virtually and publicly. So I'd like to do a roll call. Good morning, Commissioner O'Brien.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning, Commissioner Hill.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning, Commissioner Skinner.
Good morning.
And good morning, Commissioner Maynard.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I'm here.
Right, and good morning to everyone else. We'll get started on our agenda setting. We do have another public meeting that will follow this continuation of yesterday's conversation and discussion that will start at 11:15. So we'll be cognizant of time. All right, our minutes.
Madam Chair, there being no objection, we're not going to do the minutes today. We're still working on them and we'd rather bring them back in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay. And then in terms of the agenda planning, we'll get right started. We have on our notes both yesterday and today, and as I mentioned, we'll start that meeting around 11:15. Then we'll move to our next planned meeting date. Well, we have reserved time on Thursday in the event today we don't get to our last items on the agenda. So, and that's marked up for 1 p.m. Commissioners would be all set for that. But otherwise, let's look at March 9th. Karen, what do you have on?
Chair, may I jump in here for a second? Because there's a hold on the 8th, and we'd like to bring a reg on the 8th, and it would be important timing wise. So I just wanted to flag that before we get to
So
the 9th.
that's Wednesday, the 8th.
Mhm.
And we have a hold on our calendars for that.
Yes.
Okay.
So Caitlin, if you could send me the language for the agenda for the posting, Miriam and I'll get that.
So we can work with Trudy. Too,
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Please
I'll
work
do
with
that.
Trudy. And anything like this, you can also send directly to me while we are looking at successor for Crystal. So just send me emails, okay? No problem. But so we're going to, the hold starts at what time?
The hold starts at 10 a.m. on the 8th.
Okay.
It's one reg, so if there's nothing else, it should be relatively quick. The involuntary exclusion list reg.
So
We'll
that's
see if we have some other matters. Let's take a look. Okay, excellent. Thank you. And which one is it? The voluntary self-exclusion?
Involuntary exclusion. It's amending,
Okay, was
I
gonna
think,
say
152.
voluntary. I thought we had taken care of that one. Okay, so involuntary, and we're at the end. Caitlin, or where are we?
We are amending it for the first time.
Oh, okay, thank you. And that needs to be done on,
Yeah, the goal would be to do it on the 8th so that it can be in effect for the 10th for the launch.
so it takes 2 days.
Yes, if it was voted in by emergency on the 8th, we could get the information right out to the operators and get it filed right away.
Okay,
What's the citation, Caitlin?
I believe it's 205 CMR 152.
Thank you.
okay. All right. So now let's turn to the 9th, and that's, I'll turn back to the 8th in a bit. All right. I know that it's our executive director who has been assisting in bridging the gap since Crystal has her promotion, recognized that we don't always have the minutes. So Karen, I'm going to give you an opportunity to see, do you have meeting minutes scheduled for March 9th? Or because she was perplexed by not having the date. So Judy, I don't know if you have a date or anything to put into the agenda that will help.
I do. Give me just 1 second. I'm toggling to my chart here. We will have minutes from October 20th, 2022. And
Thank
that is
you.
a 6 hour and 11-minute meeting. So we're just going to give you one set to read.
They've averaged on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Out of curiosity, has anybody calculated the average length of the meetings over the last 6 months?
I feel like
did in my
someone
head,
should.
I know that somebody calculated the number of meetings.
Yeah, Jordan mentioned the number. I didn't know if anybody did like the
I think I
time
put out,
average.
I loosely said, I bet we averaged on the 4 to 5 hours. Well, maybe it wasn't average.
I think,
probably
yeah,
run
I
it
would
We
think
had
that
we had
was
an
probably longer.
outlier. We had a
It
few
felt longer
outliers.
anyway.
If we had just gone all night, would have brought our average up, right? Somebody can do that in their free time, Tricia.
I know, right?
If you want
Like,
me
they don't
to,
have
I
enough
can
to
run
do,
that
right?
for you, but maybe you don't want to know.
And another hour spent. We could do it as commissioner update. We'll get out our calculators. Okay, but it is an interesting question. So there we go. So we'll have one set of minutes for that date. That works out really well. How about on our regs?
We do not have any regs for the 9th at this point.
Okay. Okay, then we're moving to the issue that Todd and Dr. Lightbound have been working on. Hi, Alex, good morning.
Good morning. Paul Umbrella was asked if we could push that off to the April 6th meeting. Perhaps he needs a little more time to get ready, and talking with Todd, it sounded like that would work for the legal team as well.
Could you just say who needs more time?
Paul Umbrello, he's the executive director
Oh,
of
he
the Thoroughbred
needs more
Horsemen's
time.
Association. They're the ones who put the request.
Right, then I'm very comfortable. That's fair. Yes, thank you. Good. So that will be for the April 6th. Okay, we've got the research agenda. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. We will be all set. It's almost finished. We should have that delivered today, tomorrow.
How long will that take, Mark?
Could you give me about 20 minutes? This is the first, and just to recall, this is sort of the introduction of the FY24 annual research agenda. After I share it with you, receive feedback, we'll go to GPAC, GRAC, our Gaming Research Advisory Committee, and perhaps a few other groups. We're trying to just get as much feedback on it as we can before it would come back before the commission at the end of April.
We got a little feedback on Monday from Beyond, ideas for your research agenda.
Mhm.
She was very,
It was a nice
very
one for
good
us, sure.
contributor. Yeah. So we don't vote on that at that time, right, Mark?
No, you wouldn't vote on it then, but at the end of April, I would appreciate it.
So we circle back by the end of April.
Mark, could you just email me the language for the agenda so I can pop it right in, exactly what it should say?
Okay. Actually, Karen, I think proposed FY24 research agenda.
That's just, that's what should be on the agenda? Okay, perfect. And it's just you as the presenter?
Yes. Bonnie is not available, but she's been instrumental in drafting.
We'll make sure she's involved in the GPAC.
Yeah.
Good. So we're turning then to the certificates of operations, Karen and Bruce.
Yes. One thing before we do that, just logistically in the order, we need to do the House rules and have those approved. So we should put that on the agenda before the operations certificate.
But we can do it that day.
Yes.
And if someone's House rules don't go forward, we just can't move on their particular certificate.
Right.
It's part of the operations certificate to have those
Yeah.
approved. So
Yeah.
Now, Bruce,
Makes sense.
Bruce, given that we need to do something on the 8th, we could do the house rules on the 8th if you want, or would you rather have the extra day to the 9th? What's better?
House rules on the 8th would probably be a little better.
Okay,
Like, in
Okay.
case something small comes up, we can
right.
tweak it, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
right. Okay, I like that. Okay.
Okay, so March 8th, involuntary, and the house rules. Okay,
I might add, some of these are lengthy. One of the house rules is 328 pages, so.
why don't you send them to us now, Bruce?
I'll see if Sterl's gone through all of them at this point, but
Okay, so the certificates we'll do all on the 9th. Okay,
Can I interject with an item that maybe doesn't go on the agenda, but might come up in Karen's? The operators are asking when they would be able to launch, the timing, and I think we'll need that before the 8th or 9th, or on the 8th.
Well, I was thinking of bringing that up at the meeting at 11:15 today, just as part of the administrative update, because I do have a recommended time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
Don't let me
thank you,
forget.
Krista.
Don't let me
you.
forget.
We're getting questions and I'll make sure you put them.
Yeah, so no, who's going to address that at the beginning of our next meeting? Excellent. Then we have scheduled for next Thursday, commissioners, Karen's review. I think I need to push that back a little bit. Do you, everybody's agreeing? Because I haven't, it wouldn't be fair to Karen. We have March 15th is an agenda setting, and we have March 23rd. March 23rd sound better, commissioners? And everybody has their review document that Shruti sent, right? Are there any questions about the review process, commissioners? All set. Commissioner O'Brien?
No, I'm just wondering, I don't recall getting her self-eval yet. When is that due?
Well, I haven't received anything about a self-eval yet.
Okay, so that's the step. Normally what we had done is she did a self-evaluation that we had
Yeah.
each received. And then we did our
Yeah.
independent evaluation of Karen. So that timing
I
might need to
think
even
that
change
is-
further
it is-
because Karen needs to have time to do the self-eval.
Yeah, because I was thinking, is it in response to us? And it isn't. We got
No,
the
she
self-eval
does hers
first.
and then we do one and then, yeah, so the 23rd, it's probably an April date because Karen's gonna need time to do her self-eval.
So that means that Shruti needs to, or David
It's
needs to arrange.
possible I missed it. I just don't recall. seeing
It probably just didn't go out with all everything that's on everybody's
Right,
plates.
and I don't know if we actually said that the self-review, but I was thinking,
Well, and I
Just as
wasn't
we were
at the
speaking.
agenda, I think when this came up last, I couldn't make that meeting. So that might have been,
well,
where it happened
you
too.
know, Eileen, I was actually thinking as I started the review, I felt like
Something was
I'm not,
missing.
yeah, so it is afterwards. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
why.
how we've
that-
historically done it.
Thank you. So, commissioners, we'll give Karen some time to add another thing to her list. The self-review. I think we're probably going to use the form that you're familiar with, Karen. Okay. All right, and then we'll put it on April 6th. So I'll give you plenty of time, and us plenty of time. And then we also can have time to meet with Karen in advance individually if we'd like.
Right.
Or if she has any questions. Thank you. All right, that's all we have on for the 9th. Team, do you have any other matters that need to come on either for the 8th or the 9th? Hi, Joe. Good morning.
Morning, Madam Chair. Yes, we have one item on the Community Mitigation Fund. The City of Medford is requesting to repurpose some of their grant funds from one grant to another regarding a couple of different bike paths that they're working on, and we would like to take that up on the 9th if we can. Probably, it's a little complicated, just the what's happened over time. So it's probably a 15-minute discussion, 15 to 20 minutes, then more than our usual 5 or 10.
Oh, okay, great. And I know, Joe, you and your team are available should there be any questions.
Yeah, and materials to Trudy now.
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Okay.
Excellent.
I have a couple of things, Madam Chair and Commissioners, if I may, as well. Just relative to the launch of the Category 3s, we are in the process of reviewing MOUs for the intercept of overdue tax and child support. We have a meeting scheduled tomorrow with the licensees and the Department of Revenue, and those matters hopefully will be resolved by the 9th, but I think it would be helpful to bring that before the commission then.
You'll make sure that we have plenty of time, right? To look at that in advance. Will you have enough time?
That's
Your
well, that's certainly the plan. Tomorrow we will see kind of how close we are.
Excellent. So it'd be for March 9th. Okay.
And what would the agenda item be, Todd?
It'll be, well, we can kind of craft some language, but essentially review of MOUs relative to the intercept of past due child support and tax and child support obligations. The executive director has been authorized previously to execute those agreements. That would be something else to think about.
I think bringing the commission up to date, I think in terms of who actually executes the MOU, but I suspect that the commissioners will want to see some kind of a draft form of the MOU, just so we have some understanding of those arrangements. Commissioners, am I right? Okay, just to see. Yeah. All right.
So I just had one other thing, I'm sorry. I'd like to propose that the commission consider entering executive session on March 9th to talk about strategy as it relates to prospective litigation involving a racing matter.
Mm-hmm. We'll add that to the 9th, and the commission will decide if it wants to go into executive session that day.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Todd?
No, those are the two items I had for
right now? Okay.
right now, yes.
Other items for the 8th or the 9th? Let me make sure I'm not missing anyone. So I have one item that came to me over the weekend and was clarified yesterday. The Attorney General's office will be submitting written comments on our draft sports wagering advertising regulations. We're going to do that by early next week, no later than March 6th, close of business, and possibly earlier. The first assistant indicated that the comments will be on, but not exclusively necessarily, on operator promotions, which are addressed by, of course, our advertising regs and the uniform sports wagering regulations, which had an earlier comment period. I just want to note that we do accept comments on a rolling basis as well, but they're quite right that there was an earlier comment period on that particular reg. The Attorney General's office is looking to make an appearance. Would like to come in next week. And so I'm thinking March 9th is getting kind of crowded, Karen. So I'm wondering if March 8th, we'll offer both dates, I think, March 8th and 9th. They asked for next week and we're willing to go later, but I think it would be best before launch to hear from the Attorney General's office.
I agree. I think the 8th would be preferable, taking notes on the schedule.
If it's available for them, the 8th, I think is right. And we'll note that it's going to be one of 3 items rather than one of multiple items, including an executive session at the end. We can always start either session with the Attorney General's office. Okay.
Chair, there's also a hold on Tuesday, March 7th.
Well, there was going to be a hold on that, Commissioner Skinner, because the item that is now preserved for tomorrow at 1 is going to be rolled over onto Tuesday. So we put a hold on that, and given that March 8th seems to be the date that Caitlin, did you prefer that, the 8th versus the 7th?
I defer to Loretta, but we could be ready on the 7th or the 8th for that, I believe.
Let's stick to the 8th. We've gone through and put the hold on, and I think Trudy intends to take off the hold on Tuesday now that everything's clear about that we'll get the matter done. That was relevant to the roundtable, Commissioner Skinner. Okay. So that takes care of the 8th and 9th. Then we'll turn to the 23rd for the next full meeting. Of course, we'll all be flexible. We're likely to be needing some meetings in between. But for our regular business, don't forget matters that are under review. Team, if you want to bring them up. Okay, so we're going to start with an administrative update. Karen, I know that we talked about the fact that the casino's reporting may not need to be done every week. But I did have a conversation with Burke, and there might be an opportunity for Burke to bring us up to date on just some of the matters that he does on a regular basis, because all the commissioners haven't been updated on those works, and I'll work with Burke for a little bit of an agenda with you, Karen, on that. We had a good conversation. And then also, I think we're going to want to hear about table game numbers, poker table numbers. We haven't had that for a bit. Commissioners, is there anything you'd want from Burke in particular for him to report on? That would be for March 23rd. Anything in particular? That's casino and not sports wagering related. Okay. Commissioner O'Brien?
I guess the only thing I would be curious about is I know Encore was going to redo the area while I'm adding some table games outside the sports lounge. I'd just be curious to know if we know what the status is and how well those table games are doing.
Okay, so that would be for March 23rd. Burke, do you want to give a quick update on that right the second? You were leaning in.
To that point, Commissioner O'Brien, the pit's open, it's operating. I can talk with Lewis and get some more particulars for a little bit of an update about how it's doing.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So we'll look for an update from you, Burke, on the 23rd, and you and I can go through the list that we discussed earlier and can coordinate with Karen and others.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Karen?
For the administrative update, I would expect the commissioners would want an update on just how the launch of mobile sports wagering is going. So we should probably add that as well. But let Bruce take the lead on that.
One thing I want to just, as we are looking at our calendars and I see Todd studying something, I'm hoping it's the calendar that's setting our adjudicatory hearing dates. That's what you were looking at, right, Todd?
No, if that's your next question, that is, we can address that as well.
Well, as we're thinking about things that need to get done in between, I want to make sure we get some holds on our calendar for those. And I'm not sure if we can perhaps do them back to back on one day, but.
Yeah, I think I like Caitlin talk about that. That it has been already put in place.
Yep.
Have
So
you got a
on-
date set?
Yes. So on March 14th, we are going to have the initial encore and the PPC hearing back, not quite back to back, but all on the same day. And I'm working with Trudy on setting up the MGM hearing shortly after that. And then the commission is still going to decide what it would like to do with the second encore issue.
Oh. Thank you. And that's a good reminder for the second encore issue. Director Lilios, is that not an item that would be ready for the March 9th? Because I think we're waiting for that.
The second encore issue, so a preliminary report on that is able to be ready for the 9th, absolutely. And then you can determine what you want to do with that.
That would be great. Then we can coordinate with legal and maybe dispose of these in 2 adjudicatory hearings. Does that make sense, Caitlin?
2 days of hearings, we could absolutely try to do that.
Okay, so it would be MGM and Encore Boston Harbor on a date to be determined, but we'll add to March 9th, Karen, the non-compliance matter. The IEB
Language for the
report.
it's the IEB report. Laura, would be the language?
I'll send you the language, Karen. I'll pull from what we've done before.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for Crystal. Are you enjoying this of just a tad?
Still over here taking notes.
Taking notes.
Same level of notes, yeah.
Well, it does show that it takes a village and we appreciate it, everyone. Thank you so much. Okay, and Bruce, thank you. Okay, so back to the 23rd. We'll have meeting minutes. I don't know, Judy, if you have that date too.
I do. 23rd, we will have October 27th, 2022, 6 hours, 10 minutes, 1 set.
Commissioner O'Brien, I might have been pretty close when I said All right. Thank you. And thank you to Commissioner Hill for his work on working with the legal team on minutes. It's not an easy task. Okay. Regulations that day.
So this is the big day. We have 10 regulations coming back for a final vote. I've sent them over so that they can be on the agenda. I'm happy to read through them now if you'd like to hear what they are. I would also ask that we consider adding another meeting between the 23rd and the 30th for any rollover issues. It was actually really helpful when we had the 2 meetings yesterday and today for rollover issues. So we might want to do that if that's at all possible.
Yeah, great. And I'll coordinate with you, Caitlin, on that with Trudy, okay?
Great, thank you.
Karen will get that. What is March 23rd is a Thursday.
It might be easier, Madam Chair, since we have all the commissioners here. Would the commissioners be available to do that the next day, the Friday, the 24th? If not, that's a no.
I might ask for a couple, because if there's a lot of issues on them, might take a little bit of time to deal with them and get them circulated. So the next week would be ideal.
So just as a scheduling note, I have a hard stop at 3 o'clock on the 23rd. I'm wide open on the 24th, but I do have a hard stop at 3 o'clock on the 23rd.
I'm going to take off the 24th, but if business needs to happen, let it continue. And on the 23rd, I'm going to have some period of time where I will be on the phone. So.
Okay. So
looking at the calendar, Madam Chair, we do have a hold it's hard for me to read it. Public meeting in the MGC, re Hillside Matt LLC, bet 365 to Massasoit Greyhound Association. So it looks like there's a hold on the 28th for certain matters. Is that
That's
one?
a date. That's a date for category 2. We need to keep that. That's for the application.
Okay.
For Rainham.
Yeah, I think if I can just try to add a little more to that. I think that date is an interim date. There's also a hold on April 12th for the preliminary suitability review for Massasoit Greyhound Association. I believe the date of the 28th is an interim date before the preliminary suitability review, where you can consider those terms of the operating lease agreement that the applicant has with Caesars.
That's not how I read. That's not how
Okay.
I did get a couple of inquiries on this, Director Lilios, and the dates were, it's either March 28th or April. And I assume that was set aside for our entire review. If we need to look at those operating, the contract, we can do that in advance of March 28th.
Yes, and you do have that already. We thought we would prepare a memo for you. If that would be helpful, we can try to do that by the 28th.
Well, the 28th, Commissioners, I have that marked up for our day, and it's a full day of work to do, just like we did with other applicants, to review their application. It is category 2. They've submitted it now quite a long time ago. I know there's been a new entity that came into play, Director Lilios.
There was, we did scope that entity. We do now have the submission from that entity.
Right, and you had told me that RSM and you would be all set. I'd like to, unless I'm hearing big objections, I'd like to have that 28th stick for our assessment and do a one day like we did with the other applicants and treat them in with the same process that we're really familiar with. Commissioners,
I'm with that. I have the hold for both dates, that March 28th and the April date. So I'm good to
and then
move.
there are 2 April dates, but I did get a couple calls and I said, we're going to work to have a March date.
Are we getting an update on the contractual question?
That's what she just raised. But we could
Okay.
do that in advance of March 28th.
And is that doable? I'm just wondering if that's doable.
You have the contract available to you already. And we had thought of preparing a memo for you by the 28th, so that you'd have that a bit in advance of the 28th. I think we would have it would be challenging for us to do a date with a memo before the 28th, but we can, provide you with the memo by the 28th.
So by the 28th or prior to the 28th, I guess is my question.
With enough time for you to review it before the 28th.
Okay.
So that was on for that hold, Karen. Do you see anything else on the calendar?
Yeah, I've got a few other things on, so it's super narrow, so it's a little hard to read. Okay, so if for the rollover then, it may be easier to have everyone on now so that there's no confusion. It then would have the 27th, the 29th, and then Caitlin, the 30th is still an option as well?
That would be the last possible. That would be the last possible day. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just looking. So March 28th is a Tuesday. What about that Monday for a rollover? 27th? Or do you not like a Monday rollover date?
I think the Monday would be fine. It's just the back-to-back is a little hard for the turnaround, but the Monday would be fine.
Or I don't have our calendar, and I don't have access to the commissioner's calendar, so I can't be really helpful right now.
So from,
I'm available the entire week of the 27th of March.
Same here.
Me too.
Me too.
okay, I'm just pulling up the commissioners' calendars here.
Yeah, so my daughter's actually off from school that week. And I booked on the other days, but the Monday or the Friday, I need to reserve one of those. So if Monday's better for the rollover, then I'll put my hold on the 31st.
So shall we say Monday, the 27th at 10 a.m.?
I think Caitlin was suggesting a later date. Just
We
given the
have a
background.
little bit of a challenge because if we're going to shorten our day I'd like to, on the 23rd, can we start at 9, commissioners? Do we have that ability? Because that's a regular meeting date, but that's where, as Caitlin said, that's her big day. That's her big day. So
I would
we
say
have,
the earlier the better for me.
yeah, because we've got Commissioner O'Brien's got it too. And then I know Commissioner Maynard is also going to be going on the phone.
You're talking about the 23rd now, yeah?
The 23rd, because
Yeah.
if we go on to roll over on the 27th, I'm being cognizant
Yeah.
of your family
Yeah.
calendar too. So the
Before 9
23rd,
a.m. start.
a 9 a.m. start. How much
Mhm.
other business did we have on the 23rd?
Right now, Madam Chair, I have the admin update with casino update, the mobile sports wagering update, the meeting minutes, and then 10 regulations. I also have on the list, there's a couple of racing matters, which I think are pretty quick.
And Alex, we'll need those still for that day, right? Those are usually time sensitive. March
Yes, those are
23rd.
time sensitive.
And they go about collectively never more than a half an hour for sure, right?
Oh, yeah, they, it's possible they could each take, 5 minutes, so. Suffolk Downs did have a request for a new ADW provider and was hoping to get on either the March 23rd meeting or the April 6th. So I'm just mentioning it because you're talking about the 23rd, but.
And what was their request for?
It's a new ADW DraftKings based on the Churchill Twin Spires back end, which will be similar to ones that the commission has seen before, where it's basically a rebrand, another brand using the technology of a established company that has been approved for a long time in Massachusetts. So I don't anticipate that would take very long either, unless the commissioners had a lot of questions.
So that would be ideally on the 23rd, right?
Yes.
And just so you know, everyone, Trudy is on. It's just that her laptop is not working, so she's on the phone. So Trudy will bother you. The only thing is you probably, I don't know if your laptop's not working, it might be hard to be looking at the calendar. So everybody is looking at the calendar together right now, so no problem. So let's do a 9 a.m. start, March 23rd. We'll add that third item on Suffolk Downs.
Thank you.
And then maybe we'll have Burke do his update the following public meeting. And we'll get right to the regs. Get as many in for until 2 o'clock that day.
Is it 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, Eileen? You're muted.
You're on mute. I love it when we still say that.
See, 3 o'clock. So I can jump off at 3.
And Commissioner Maynard, could you go mobile a little bit if need be?
Yeah, I can.
What's your favorite time?
I appreciate, and you've already said it, moving a lot of the decision-making to the front helps me. So the earlier, the better.
Alex, what I will do, we often accommodate you on the front end. If you don't mind, we'll have Alex's matters go at the end and we'll get to the regs first. Okay,
Sure.
so we'll try to predict, and you'll do a standby a little bit with your ear open Alex, is that okay?
Of course, sure.
Okay, so that will get as much of the regs done right up front, but this will include the advertising reg. Correct, Caitlin? It will include.
Yeah,
do you
yes,
wanna
it
go
will.
through the-
Sorry. And I'm
we-
happy to run through the list if you'd
That
like
would be
me to do
really
that.
helpful now. Thank you. We've got a little
Absolutely.
bit of a.
So the regs are, I'm just going to say the N number instead of 205 CMR 100
Oh,
times.
you-
106,
But do
information
you
and
mind,
finance.
yeah, saying that, not just the number, but the
Of course, yeah.
languages. Thank you.
Yeah. You haven't memorized the numbers of every reg, Kathy?
That is something I've never done. I've been a lawyer an awful long time. I marvel at Judy. I marvel at her.
She's very good
That
at
is
it.
something-
So it's 106, information and filings, 107, professional practice, 109, emergency action, 202, authority and definitions, 213, withdrawal of an application, 229, review of a proposed transfer of interest, 232, discipline of sports wagering operators and other licensees and registrants, 239, continuing disclosure and reporting obligations of sports wagering licensees, 241, surveillance and monitoring, and 256, sports wagering advertising.
Excellent. Thanks. No, it's a big day. So we'll get started, and then what we'll do is we'll roll it to Monday of what we might not get done on that Thursday, but it looks like we'll be very aware of the two commissioners' timing on that day. All right, and then start Monday at 10. Because Monday at 9 is just inhumane. Okay.
Did you say the start time for the 27th was 9 a.m., Madam Chair?
No, the Monday, the start time that's Wednesday, the 27th, right? I don't have a calendar in front of me, so I'm losing
Yes,
track.
we have
of it,
March
but
27th, Thursday, 9 a.m. start, and then we're also talking about doing something on the 27th for the rollover. Is that correct?
That will be 10. That's a Monday, and that's the 10 a.m. I ruled out a 9 a.m. start, Karen, on behalf of your team.
Thank you.
All righty. Now I have the calendar again. All right. And we've kept March 28th for the Rainham application, category 2. It'll be marked up and we'll have the materials. We have the materials, and I think there's been some additional materials added to the file. So if commissioners, if you want to make sure, I'm always concerned about access, to make sure everybody has technical access, because sometimes permissions can be hard to navigate. So you'll want to check that. All right. So that's the first item under review anyway, Karen. All right. So number 16 under review.
Yes, that'll be the 28th.
Turning to Joe. Good morning again.
Good morning. So the Encore Broadway expansion, that's still under review. The next step on that is going to be having a public hearing. I'm putting together a memo right now for the commissioners and for Karen to just on what all of our next steps need to be and what kind of outreach we need to do and so on. So I think we're looking to try to schedule that public hearing probably somewhere towards the end of the month of March, and then to get public input. We'll just need to figure out a date that works and so on.
Okay.
And I think we probably want to do that as a standalone item.
Well, once you start getting closer, let's explore the calendar with Trudy. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Hi, Lev.
Yeah, still under review.
I'm going to start turning to I love. I guess the bottom line that you're looking at, just as a reminder, are you looking at the MOUs? Do they need to be revisited? Or do the operators do that with their community themselves, their own?
Well, the operators do that with the communities, with the communities themselves, or with the ILEVs themselves. That's, you know, there really is nothing in the regs particularly that there's some reopener clauses if there are certain things that happen that are, you know, triggering events that would reopen these things. That's some of the stuff that we need to look at. But I think, you know, the whole thing came down to, you know, with the Encore project, with the proposed entertainment venue, kind of brought this to the fore, and you know, we still need to look at this, and you know, I think we don't want those agreements to just sort of lie fallow there. We want to have them be kind of active kinds of things.
Maybe even bringing it a little bit into our regular reporting or something, Joe.
Yeah, you know, that's why I think we started getting a little bit of support from our licensees back on their fourth quarter, and I think you know, this is something that is sort of between the licensees and the ILEVs. So it's, I mean, obviously we want to have our finger on the pulse of that, but it's not really our agreement.
That's right.
It's kind of like the surrounding community agreements or agreements between the licensee and the communities themselves, and not with us.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, we'll wait for you to see if you come back with any recommendations, and if you decide you don't want to move upon any recommendations, that's fine too. Next, number 19 on our notes, Encore. I'm sorry, Encore Boston Harbor Public Safety Report.
Right. I have 3 studies here that are kind of moving their way through the research review process. And none of them I'm ready to assign a date yet.
Okay. So that's 19, 20, and 24. The 23 and diversity study, that's really just underway, right?
Right. So actually it's 22, 19.
Oh, 22, yeah, the Springfield Community Driven. So you have 4 studies, but it's 19, 20, and 22 that are closer to completion.
Yeah, actually, I think 24, the diversity study, could probably be removed. You'll see that show up as part of the FY24 research agenda. So
yeah, that makes sense.
All right, I'll take that off.
Okay, so we'll take that off under review, and then the other 3 are getting close. We'll look forward to those, Mark. So I know you always will have your guest speakers, so we'll coordinate that. Then we have BG. Do I have Heather, or does it Director Lilios? Number 21 under review. MGM's.
Yes, there's already a date for that one, Chair, I believe. It's not showing up on my calendar, but I think it may be on yours. I think is it April 12th?
Oh, good. I'm sorry, can't coordinate looking at my calendar.
Yes, Heather did tell me this morning that it's been scheduled.
Yeah, Trudy, if you can hear us, do you have that date? Maybe not, because again.
I don't have it. I'm not truly clearly, but I don't have it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a hold yet, but we do have, that's another date we had the hold for the Rainham application. So maybe because we were doing it on the other date, we were going to use the hold. I'm not sure.
I have a hold on that date for that very reason.
Yeah,
the Rainham.
Yeah.
For Rainham, yeah, but we could maybe move it to the REIT matter. How long will
I don't have anything on my schedule for REIT at this point.
Yeah. I hadn't seen it, but I wouldn't have been surprised if I'd missed it. So maybe we could use one of those dates as a hold.
And is that a public meeting?
It's an adjudicatory hearing. They typically have been not closed to the public.
We'll go. We reserve the option to go into if there are matters that involve privacy, right? Todd, you can add in there if you'd like.
Yes, that's correct. This is, you remember, a follow-up, of course, to your prior review granting them interim authorization to close the deal. So this is the final review.
And Heather has just confirmed that she has it for the 11th, April 11th.
Okay.
I don't know if the legal division has sent out a notice about that, but in any event, IB will be ready for it that day. And I know it is a time-sensitive matter, important to get it done that week.
So if we could have Trudy send something along, because I have that as open right now.
Okay.
It must be that, Heather, when you say it's the 11th, we have to stick with that date versus, what was the other one, Karen?
12th.
Well,
Is that because we know the principals can be available on the 11th, Loretta? Commissioners, are we available on the 11th?
I'm available, just as
Yes.
Commissioner Hill said, we need to get that hold on. Yes,
Good.
And I think the principals work really hard to be available when the commission needs them to be. So if it's the 11th or the 12th, I'm
There's
sure
no
they'll do
magic to
everything
the 12th. We can do it on the 11th. Okay. Then we have racing regulations and application review.
We would like to bring a proposed revised application and the related regulation on April 13th.
April 13th.
Mhm.
And this is this, are they revised regulations?
The regulation that would be revised is the racing application regulation.
That's
So
what
they
I
go hand in
wondered.
hand.
Yeah, just for the application.
Mhm.
And this would be the application for
A new racetrack.
ongoing.
For a new-
No, sorry, this is the new. This is the new
This is
racetrack.
the new, this is the one where I wasn't able to make the meeting and I asked that it be put back on so we could have that conversation again about timing on municipal approval.
Got it. Do we have to do the application for the continuing?
We can look at that too.
I think so. I think we talked about that, right? We would like to have, we updated the, well, you created the new application for the potential new licensee. But the one that Plainridge Park Casino uses as a continuing is different, I think. Caitlin.
Correct. Yep.
I think it would make sense, commissioners, if that could, I think we got a lot of best practices included in the new one. So maybe when we review this on the 13th, can we keep that in mind, Caitlin?
Absolutely. I think it might make sense to bring the new racing application and the related reg at first, and then to the extent there are changes that you're going to make to the new reg, we can go back and make them to the standing.
Right. And then just, it will mean, and Dr. Lightbound, you're probably more familiar with the application that Plainridge Park uses, but I know you borrowed a lot from that for the new one, but probably the Plainridge Park application needs to be updated, correct?
There were probably 3 or 4, major items that were new to the new application that you might want to consider putting in the renewal one.
Yeah.
And other than that,
Thank
there was a
you.
lot of number changing, but the actual things were things that had been requested before. So,
Right, and just formatting, but the word is
Yep.
renewal. Thank you. I just was struggling with that. Thank you, Dr. Lightbound. So for the renewal licensees and then any new licensee, and I think it would probably would be a good project for someone without a whole lot of work, but it would be making the documents alike. So we'll go ahead with the 13th. Karen?
Yep,
That's
I've
our
got it.
first item for the regular public meeting on 13th. Okay. Then we have the ADW regulations. Commissioner O'Brien, your name's attached to that.
So this is where Alex and I talked about this yesterday. Going back, we identified the meeting where I had the question about whether it was being treated like abandoned property versus unclaimed winnings. So now we have to go back through and just see, is it a question of a reg change or maybe just an audit to ensure compliance?
Oh, great. And then you can have legal update us on that. That'll be great.
Yep.
All right. And the next is under me. But this was just the issue that I had brought up about horse racing as a matter of being on the event catalog. Can I turn that over to Director Ban and Crystal and Sturl? Karen, does that make sense?
Yes.
And Dr. Lightbound coordinate, because there's got to be legal questions in there. So,
Yeah, I can jump in a little bit in case anyone
Thank
is
you.
gathering their thoughts. We have done some legal analysis on that point, and we can share that with the commissioners, so you can kind of see where we came down on some of that.
Could you bring your teammates into the fray first before you just, so that Bruce, or are they already all informed?
No, I don't think anyone's necessarily in the fray, so we'll bring everyone in and let them,
Yeah.
then we'll come to the commission. But yeah, I think there are certainly some legal issues involved there. And then there was more of a technical issue related to it, whereby, as you heard earlier, some of the sports wagering operators are moving or have already moved into the ADW space. So there was a question as to whether they can integrate their sports wagering and horse racing offerings onto the same page, essentially, or whether they need to be separate. So
Karen, I'd suggest an internal meeting where we get everybody together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I'm just thinking the same thing. So Todd, I'll set something up for you, me, Alex, and Bruce. And why don't we sort of hash that out and we'll keep it under review until we get all informed here.
But we do have, I'm thinking, of course, Derby Day, which is not till May, but also I'm thinking horse racing season starts next month. Yes, next month now, right? I don't think I said today was March 1st when we met this morning. All right. And that was, of course, prompted by questions that Crystal and I got at the launch of retail sports wagering. Independent monitor report, I think we can take that off now.
Take it off. Okay.
Right, Eileen?
Well, they are going to have to come back. I mean, it should probably be there as a placeholder just because they are going to have to come back. It's just not pressing.
They come back on their regular reporting date.
Yeah. So probably keep them on as a reminder, but it's not anything imminent.
Okay. All right. Compliance Committee and succession of officers and positions. That's under you as well, Commissioner O'Brien?
Yep. And so I believe we'd have to go back and look at the terms. I think the current terms come up, I think, in May. And that's absolutely something we could probably talk about probably end of April in terms of succession, either plans or structures if we wanted it. Compliance Committee, especially with, unfortunately, the departure of Karen, I'm forgetting his name, Jack
Flynn. Yeah.
Jack Flynn hasn't really advanced very much. So that's going to have to stay where it is for now.
Okay. So for officers and positions, I think we should probably put for April.
You put probably
April
whatever is
13th?
sort of toward the end of April, whatever that meeting is. That's probably a good date.
Probably April 27th would be the last day in April.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Anything else? We've got the lease. Do we need any updates on that?
Marion and I've been talking, we have an internal meeting scheduled tomorrow, which we actually have to both Marianne because of another conflict, but we also have been getting information from external sources. So staff has been starting to move on this again because it'll be upon us before we know it. I've got to check because Derek and I had a different recollection about where we left it with the commission. So we were going to confer on our notes just to make sure we were on the same page as the commission. So if there is a difference in understanding, we may need to come back in front of the commission just to confirm what the commission's position is for our current status. But why don't we hold it right now, and Marianne and I will give an update after we have our meeting.
Would have been an executive session.
Yes.
So, if there's any way to,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just remember the date.
Minutes aren't final yet because of the nature of executive session. They don't become final till the matter becomes final. But if it's helpful for the commissioners to be reminded of the discussion, I'm sure you can figure out how to inform us.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. That's the last on under review. Team, is there anything else that you want to bring up? We have plenty of time for lots of meetings ahead, but particularly those complex issues, right? So about 10 minutes, we're going to start in another meeting. Commissioners, are you all set with the agenda setting?
I have one item.
Sure, Commissioner.
During sports wagering application review, there was a lot of public complaints around MGM and their or what is perceived as an inability or failure on their part to meet some of the terms of their host community agreement. And so I'm wondering if we can get an update of some kind. Not sure how that would be brought to the commissioners, but I'm sure Joe will help us there. But I'm looking to understand what those issues were there. I don't think we've heard about it outside of the media, but we may have gotten a couple of written complaints about it. But so just looking to understand that a little bit more at some point.
Okay, I'll add that to the list, and then Joe, if you could take a look at that and see what the best mechanism would be to inform Commissioner Skinner and the other commissioners.
Yeah.
Great.
Commissioner Skinner, if they weren't connected to sports wagering, it was just
I
during
understand that. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to clarify. That's what you're saying, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we were focused on sports wagering applications.
That's right. Yeah.
That's why I
Yeah.
mentioned that, but.
Mm-hmm. Joe, you can also, I know that was Representative Bud Williams was, that's another person who, we would love to hear from, and he's also, and I've reached out to him, we'd love to have him as a guest here. We do hear from various elected officials, so if you wanted to reach out to both Mayor Sarno's office and Representative Williams, Joe, that would be helpful on our behalf. But we would love to hear how we can be helpful in that discussion. So Joe, can you circle back with us on the 9th? Just a quick update on that matter to see if you've been able to
Sure.
contact anyone. Okay, that'd be great. I'll have that as a brief update, Karen, under administrative update. And if any individual involved with, and we did receive, there were many communications from broad public, Commissioner Skinner, if you recall correctly, I think. We did get a series, I think, I'm remembering correctly, of hearing from.
Direct communication?
Yes.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, thanks for confirming my recollection.
Yes, and then there was media outreach, and the individuals wanted to be heard, but it was really not appropriate in part of our assessment. So I appreciate you bringing it to our attention today. So that's good follow-up. And so I think Joe will be the right person to contact, follow up on that. And if Joe, you need any background, commissioners can provide that. I think Crystal would have those communications accessible too.
Okay.
If you don't mind, Crystal. Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. GLI is still serving us well.
They are.
Just give them a big thank you. We continue to appreciate their expertise chiming in on yesterday so nicely, and we appreciate it. I know that everyone has worked very closely with them, and we are extremely grateful. All right, need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm sorry, before we do, I know it's, inconvenient for the public, but I am going to need about 10 minutes, and given the time, that might mean putting a graphic up, delaying the start of the meeting a little bit.
Well, poor Mills. Mills, you're in charge. We're going to just, it's an 11:15 start, but it will be closer to 11:20. So thank you. With that discussion, and that's it's going to be my reminder that we're rolling over, and we'll see you in a bit. You don't mind putting up a screensaver, Mills?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll push out on our social channels that we'll be starting a little late, and then we'll just start the meeting late.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Maynard.
Aye.
And I vote yes. 5-0. Thanks, everyone.